India-America relationship is going to be impacted in case Trump comes back to power? And I'll take this question to Professor Lucas. Do you think that there will be some sort of a tectonic shift when it comes to Trump's second administration vis-a-vis India?
I think the answer to that is yes and no. The reason why I say yes and no is because you cannot evaluate Trump as being a politician who works within the US system. So the way that we look at the US India relationship, we might talk about India's efforts to develop military ties or to develop ties in technology or to develop the economic links. You can't count on that when Trump is president because Trump doesn't work with the US agencies. In fact, if Trump becomes president, his inner circle are going to try to break up the US agencies to politicize them. But where the shift occurs and where it's significant is where India, as it did in Trump's first term, will they'll carry out what's called transactional politics. And that is Donald Trump cares about one thing: what makes Donald Trump look good. And as you're showing those images on your screen, uh, Prime Minister Modi knew that. The Modi government knew that, which is why they flattered Trump, why they gave him the visit to India, why Modi went to Texas. Remember the Howdy Modi moment. And they made Trump feel really, really good personally. So India will try to play and manipulate Trump the same way that the Saudis did, the same way that the UAE did, the same way that Russia has done for years, the same way even that North Korea has done. And to the extent that India can manipulate Trump, then it may escape the potential damage of a Trump administration, whether it be the geopolitical chaos that might ensue or the tariffs that he continues to threaten on a daily basis.
But despite the fact that he had a warm relationship, but he still had the grouse. He not only said this, which were part of the documents which revealed in which the grudge was there that the tariffs were very high. Even in the campaign, though he said that Prime Minister Modi is a friend, he spoke of the high tariffs in context of India, Professor Lucas.
Yeah, absolutely right. And Trump does this. This is why I'm telling you that we can't really predict this shift, because think about what he's done with China. He's put these high tariffs on China. He's threatened even higher tariffs when he comes in, but he says he admires Xi Jinping, that he wants to be a president for life, Xi Jinping. The same thing happens with India, a very different country from China, in that he can threaten the tariffs, he can threaten this economic damage to the US India relationship, but he can say, I really like that Modi. I really think he's a great person. What the Indian government will have to do is play on that personal relationship to try to say to Trump, do you really want to put tariffs on us? We're your friends. We're the good people. We're not taking American jobs. We're not ripping you off. This is not a president who plays by the rules that academics, diplomats, and
Okay.
journalists have recognized.
Okay. Okay. Sangeeta Ramakrishnan, to you, do you think that the Trump administration will be better for India or the Harris administration?
Without a doubt, the Harris administration will be significantly better than the Trump administration. We have seen what happened in the Trump administration. India lost its most favored nation status when Trump was in power. So, and Trump also prefers dictators, people who will flatter him, and so on. So, I think countries like Russia, North Korea, those are the countries which will do better under a Trump presidency. India will struggle with the Trump presidency. India has had close relationships with the Biden administration, with the Obama administration, and with Democrats in general. So the Harris administration will continue its good relationship with India. Trump does do a lot of talk about being a friend of India, but we don't see that in the actions, whether it was the tariffs that the other speaker alluded to or the most favored nation status that India lost.
Sangeeta, what is the principal difference, if I have to say, between Trump's approach towards India and Kamala Harris's approach towards India? Because Kamala Harris has never spoken about her India connection publicly. I mean to say, I was surprised by her campaign tweet. Trump, during the last days of campaign, spoke about Hindus in Bangladesh. So, is principally, is there a difference, a personality approach when it comes to India?
Yeah. So let me just first talk about whether Kamala has talked about openly about her India connection. She has repeatedly talked about being raised by her mom, who was an immigrant from India who came to the United States at the age of 19. I'm, of course, from a very different generation than Shyamala Gopalan, but I can relate to that. You know, I came to the US at the age of 21. To say that I don't have a relationship with India or my kids don't have a relationship with India would be really funny. She was, raised on a diet of idlis and regular trips to India. She's talked about her relationship with her grandfather and how they visited India regularly in the summers, just like a lot of the Indian immigrants in the US do, right? We go back to India, take our kids, expose them to the culture of India, expose them to to the grandparents, to family, extended family. So she seemed to have had a very similar upbringing. She's talked about how she experienced Diwali